It's the XC60 project here today, and this is the first YouTube video after a long break, and I thought it would be best to talk about where Tallahassee is at right now, what I think of the setup, any things I could do to improve the setup, and what's in plans for her in the future, eh? So the last video, 5 months ago, which is a long time, the axle, while doing the caliper, replacing the front calipers and the rotors, the axle fell apart, front driver's side axle. And so since then, a lot has been done to Talla, done a lot of work on Talla, and she runs way better than she ever did before. Still leaks oil though, but we're going to fix that. So, one, she has had a whole front suspension overhaul. She has new front control arms with PowerFlex race front control arm bushings, and those, I absolutely love those bushings. Like, they change the drivability of the car. It's a lot more reactive. I also have IPD HD ball joints. Shout out to IPD for having the best warranty program, because one of the boots on my driver, or the boot on the driver passenger side ball joint ripped. They replaced it without a problem. I sent them a picture. They replaced it without a problem, without a hassle. It was with me within the week. So shout out to IPD. The only thing that has not been replaced in the front suspension is the knuckle, and the only reason for that is because I don't need to, because it works, and knuckles don't really wear unless you're in an accident and they break. It has Brembo drilled and slotted rotors on the front and the rear. The front calipers have been replaced. It has Viva Performance stainless steel braided front brake lines. The rears I still have to put in. It has StopTech high performance pads and IPD Sachs XC70 struts with Les Joe 4's HD XC70 springs, which give it a lift. In the rear, we have, it also has IPD sway bar links. Those I found out that when I bought the car it had IPD sway bar links, and I have no idea how old they are, but when I pull the subframe, which I'll explain why I'm doing that in a bit, I will be replacing them either with IPD again, or whatever's cheapest, which I think is IPD for sway bar links. In the rear, we have a full IPD rear sway bar with IPD rear sway bar links. We have Lesio Fur's S60 HD springs, and the reason for that is because even with the lift, so for the lift I have Cross Country Performance 1-inch subframe spacers, and those are just going between the body and the subframe, and currently I'm only running those in the rear because I took them out in the front. In the rear, we also have Bilstein B8 rear shocks, and those, I absolutely love those rear shocks. Those, I think, were probably overall the best thing I did to the car, or they're my personal favorite thing I did to the car. They completely make it feel like all one car, and the rear end stays nice and stiff. And then for tires, I have Toyo AT3s in 215 65 16s, and I have to run 6 inches, otherwise they don't fit and they rub. And then for engine work, not really much beside maintenance and spark plugs. We did a compression test, and Talla passed the compression test with flying colors. And then we also put on a Snab cold air intake with a cane and pod filter right on the front, and that has completely changed the sound. I will attach the clip in here. I absolutely love that intake. I also think it added a bit of performance, and I know cold air intakes don't add a lot of performance, but I think it did add a bit because it just pulls way nicer with it. However, since installing it, which hasn't even been a week, we've run into 2 boost leaks, which is the silicone coupler that goes right on the end of the turbo, the inlet of the turbo. The top end sits nice and flush, and then as you feel your finger down, it sits at an angle, and then the more pulls you do, the harder you drive it, it slowly slips off, even with the hose clamp as tight as it can possibly go. I think a reason for that is because it just gets so hot the hose clamp slips and starts loosening. So we've had to fix that twice. First time I caught it, fixed it in a Canadian Tire parking lot, no problems. Second time, it was after we were running it real hard going for a rip, and that was really hot. But it's all tight. So we haven't received, or I haven't had a check engine light since I fixed it the second time. But I'm going to continue to drive it hard and see if it happens again, and if so, we might have to get a new coupler and change how that piping works. Exhaust wise, it's a full 3-inch exhaust, cat delete. Surprisingly, I have not run into any check engine lights for the secondary O2 sensor, the one that reads your cat. No check engine lights. I'm not running a spacer, but we did put the bung in backwards, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. So it's a 3-inch all the way, and it goes to a 4-inch titanium tip, and I absolutely love the sound of it, and it pops perfectly. Overall, I'm really happy with how the car is feeling right now. I absolutely love how it handles. I love how it corners. It stays in alignment. It goes straight. It corner like you during a hard corner. It goes where you want to go. It doesn't flow. There's no jitters. There's no bumps. There's no I turned it this hard, but it's only turning this much percent of how much I turned it. I am so happy with how the car is at this point in time. Like, compared to when I first bought it and compared to before I did some of this stuff, I was like, I might not like this car in the long run, but at this point in time, I am like so happy with how it feels. Currently, the trunk is completely stripped, no spare tire, and I have the rear IPD chassis brace for the trunk, and I also have the front Ultra Racing strut brace. The front, I think, out of the two, if you only had to get the two, I would get the front strut brace, because to me, that made the biggest difference. I also, in the rear, to keep the alignment with the lift, have the IPD adjustable rear toe arms. And I also have not put in yet, I have the Project Silver from Viva Performance rear adjustable camber bushings. I have to put those in, because at the moment, the rear camber is quite negative. I want it set at -1 degree, that's what I want for cornering. But it's a little bit more than that on one side, so we have to fix that. Something I would not do again if I had a built Tala again is I would not put the front subframe spacers in the front, the cross-country 1-inch subframe spacers in the front. The reason for that is because they created so much bumps, there's so many clunks, so many bangs, and it would not stay in alignment because it just put so much stress on everything, and the steering geometry was so out of shape. I would go for an alignment, and within a week it would be out of alignment again. And it was like, and the steering wheel would be really bad. So what I currently have, I'm not running the front subframe spacers on the front, I'm running them on the rear. So the car does sit a little bit higher in the rear, and I absolutely love that setup. On gravel and loose surfaces, you can kick out the rear really easily, and you can oversteer it nice and kick it around a corner really easily, like as if you were doing a rally. And on asphalt, you can still kick out the rear, but it takes a lot more effort to kick out the rear. And by having the rear lifted up a bit more than the front, understeer is virtually gone. We've gone for rips. I have cornered hard with this setup, and I can't get it to understeer, but it oversteers before it understeers. And the reason for that is because it's lifted up, so all your weight goes forward, and then not a lot of weight in the back at momentum wise. And I absolutely love that setup. My plans for Tala, there's actually some really big plans happening for Tala. So at the moment, I still have to do a PCV job to an Mishimoto catch can. That's going to be happening next week. This weekend, and I think I'm going to make a video about it. It's going to be a long video because the PCV job on a P2 is quite the job. I have the timing belt to do, and the reason I have not done the timing belt is because my upper PCV hose is cracked, so it leaks oil onto the timing belt. So I'm going to do I have a Gates high performance timing belt to put on with a water pump that we're going to do after the PCVs to make sure that that's the only thing that's leaking oil onto my timing belt. And then I also have a manual swap, M56L with the 4.0 gear ratio. That's going onto Tala. I don't know when. I'm still waiting for a clutch, and I'm also waiting for the actual shifter housing that sits inside the car. So we're going to be doing that. That's the biggest thing, and the reason for that is because we got the car dynoed and it only made 133 horsepower. And the biggest factor for that was because the automatic transmission was just sucking out so much power, and it is a little slushy. The car has, at the moment, 411 700 kilometers on her. Been problemless, absolutely no problems with her. And then we also have the front IPD sway bar to go in when the subframe is out, doing the manual swap. We have a ceramic coated Japanifold to go on in a custom color that was ceramic coated. Shout out to Powderworks for doing that. We also have a K24 Super Hybrid that we're going to be lathing out to fit the Viva Performance Inducer Extrucer 75mm wheel inside, and we're going to run it at really low boost so we don't blow Talla up. But she's in a K24 big turbo swap with this Cerakoted Japanifold. We're going to rebuild the K24, and that's about it for Talla. Talla, I absolutely love how she's running right now. I do have some custom parts being made to sell for the P2 platform, so stay tuned for those. One of those should be done this week. And then yeah, that's where Talla's at right now. Thanks so much for watching this YouTube video. I'm gonna be on YouTube a lot more now because I'm done with my break. There's gonna be instructional videos, there's going to be custom application videos, and there's going to be weekly updates, maybe every 2 weeks because not a lot is really happening now. So there's going to be every 2 weeks a build update about Talla, and it's going to be basically any time during those 2 weeks something's up with Talla, I change something with Talla, I'll make a video about it. So thanks so much for watching. Please comment like what other types of videos you want to see, or if there's a specific question you have about one of the Volvos or what I'm trying to do or how to do something on a Volvo, and I can make a video about it. Thanks so much. My Instagram is the XC60 Project, and if you want to order any high performance application Volvo parts, go to the link tree on my Instagram and fill out the Google Forms. Thank you so much.